Hi learners, today we are coming to look at how to divide decimals by whole numbers using long division method. And then if you haven't subscribed to the channel, I will encourage you to subscribe and hit the notification button for more math lesson. Alright, so let's dive into look at our first example. We'll be dividing 0.6 by 3. Alright, in doing this, the first thing to do is to make the decimal a whole number. Always, this is the first rule you have to understand, that in dividing decimals by whole numbers using the long division method, you make the decimal a whole number. And we do this by knowing how many decimal places does the decimal has. In this case, it has one decimal place. So you move the decimal point one time to the right to make the decimal a whole number. So this gives us what? This gives us what? 6 divided by what? 3. Remember, as you move it in the problem or in the question, when you are done with the long division and you arrive at your answer, you have to bring it back. The number of times you move it forward or right, you move it backwards or left that same number of times. So with that said, we set up our long division problem like this. We have the dividend, which is 6, the divisor, which is 3. So 3 goes into 6, or which number multiply 3 to give us 6? We have 2. 3 times 2 give us what? 6. Then you subtract. 6 minus 6 give us what? 0. So because you have 0 as your remainder, we are done with our long division. So our final answer is what? 2. But remember that we move the decimal point one time to the right. So because we have gotten 2 as our answer, we have to stand here and move it one time to the left, giving you what? 0.2. Therefore, 0.6 divided by 3 equal to what? 0.2 as our final answer. I hope that is clear. All right, so let's look at another example. You can pause the video and then work it out. Come back to confirm if you are right. Our example number 2 is 1.2 divided by what? 4. So as usual, the first thing is to make the decimal a whole number by standing on the decimal point, moving it one time to the right because it has only one decimal place, giving us what? 12 divided by what? 4. Then the next thing is to set up what? Your long division problem. We have the 12, which is the dividend inside. We have the divisor, which is 4. So which number multiplies 4 to give us 12? Or how many times will 4 go into 12? We have 3 times. 4 times 3 give us what? 12. Then you subtract. 12 minus 12 give us what? 0. And because we have 0 as our remainder, our answer to the long division problem is 3. Now remember, you move the decimal point one time to the right because the decimal has what? One decimal place. So the same thing, you stand here, you bring it back one time to the left, giving you what? 0.3. So therefore, 1.2 divided by 4 is equal to what? 0.3 as our final answer. I hope that is clear. All right, so let's look at another example. So in our next example, we have 2.5 divided by what? 2. So in this case, we are moving the decimal point one time to the right because it has only one decimal place, giving you what? 25 divided by 2. The next thing is to set up your decimal or your long division problem. Set up what? Your long division problem like this. So you have the dividend, which is 25, and the divisor, which is 2. So how many times will 2 go into 2? One time. So 2 times 1 is 2. And you subtract. 2 minus 2, 0. Then you bring your 5 down. Then you add it to the 0, making 5. 2 goes into 5 2 times. 2 times 2, 4. You subtract, you have 1. Now remember, we are done with the digits here. The dividend is only 25. So we cannot have 1 to be a final remainder and then that is all. So you have to introduce a digit, that is 0. So you add 0 to it, and then the moment you introduce 0, you put a decimal point here. The moment you add a 0, you put a decimal point here. But remember, if this still does not have a number that can go inside, where you will need to add more zeros, you don't need to put more decimal numbers. This is enough to get our answer. So you ask yourself, how many times will 2 go into 10? We have 5 times. 2 times 5 is 10. So 10 minus 10 is 0. And the moment you have 0 as your remainder, it tells us that we are done with our long division problem. So we have 12.5. Now remember, you move the decimal point 1 time to the right in the question. So when you get your answer, you stand on the decimal point, move it 1 time back or left of the answer. So giving you what? 1.25. Therefore, 2.5 divided by 2, our final answer is what? 1.25. I hope that is clear. All right. So let's look at another higher example. Then we bring our lesson to a close. All right. So our next example is 3.06 divided by 3. So in this case, the first thing to do is to make sure the number becomes a whole number. Remember that this has 2 decimal places. Since it has 2 decimal places, you are going to move 2 times to make it a whole number. So you stand here, you move 1, 2, giving us what? 306 divided by what? 3. Then the next thing is to set up what? Your long division problem. So you have 306 inside, and then we have 3 outside. So you ask yourself, which number or how many times will 3 goes into 30? So 3 will go into 30 10 times. 3 times 10 is what? 30. So you have 30 minus 30, we have 0. Then you bring what? 6. So you ask yourself, how many times will 3 goes into 6? It goes in 2 times. 3 times 2 is 6. Subtract, we have what? 0 as our remainder. This tells us that we are done with our long division. And then the answer we got is 102. But remember that you move twice. In the question, you move twice to the right to get the whole number. So now that you get 102, you have to move it twice to the left to get your answer. So you stand here, you move 1, 2, giving you what? 1.02. Telling you that, therefore, 3.06 divided by 3 gives us the answer 1.02. And that is it when it comes to dividing decimals using what? Long division method. So you can try your hand on this and then see if you truly understand what we have done so far. So try 6.72 divided by what? 4. And then the answer key is 1.68. So that is it for today. Remember that the first thing to do is to make the decimal whole, and then you set up your long division problem. Then you do your long division. After that, the number of times you move the decimal places, you have to move it back. And remember to add zeros in case the decimal is not well, the decimal that you are dividing, or the number you are dividing, is done and you still didn't get zero as your remainder. So you keep adding zero, and the moment you introduce zero, you have to introduce a decimal point at that particular time. And you don't continue to add more decimal point because you keep introducing more zeros. And I hope that is clear. And if this has really helped you, I will encourage you to subscribe to the channel, hit the notification button, so that anytime we release a new video, you'll be able to access it. Thank you for your time, and God bless. Bye-bye.